Hello everyone, welcome back to Blacksmith Studios. My name is Jack, and today we will be talking about a quick theory of mine for Miles Morales in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Now, I probably should have written this down in more of a script, but I kind of want to just get off my chest a little bit. So I do apologize if it doesn't really make sense, but I kind of just want to get it off my chest. And hey, if you like it, great. If you don't like it, then at least I've got it off my chest and it's out there in the ether of the internet. So I don't really mind. Anyway. Let me get into this theory. So this theory is based on Miles Morales and his mission to go back to Earth 1610 to save his father from being killed by the Spot. Now, I've seen a few videos on Miles Morales and Miguel O'Hara and these canon events, such as Game Theory's one I actually watched recently. Well, Film Theory, apologies. And it has made me sort of think about it a bit more, and so I'm just going to pitch my theory to you guys and tell me what you think. So, canon events in the Spider-Verse movies are sort of like fixed points in time. So, these are events that cannot be changed, because if they do, it destabilizes the universe. Now, of course, I think in many of the Spider-Verse universes, there's a sort of pattern to it. So there's mainly a Venom, there's a Spider-Bite, there's an Uncle Ben figure dying, there is a Captain dying. Not in all cases. Tobey Maguire didn't have a Captain dying, and even Tom Holland's Spider-Man didn't have an Uncle Ben figure die until way after he was Spider-Man. He was Spider-Man for a few years before his Aunt May died, which was his Uncle Ben moment. So obviously these situations change, but there is likely that there are one or two, these situations within each universe, sometimes multiple, of course. And I think this applies solely to the Spider-Verse universes. So maybe not the MCU, but these Sony Spider-Man specific universes, such as the Insomniac universe, such as the animated Spider-Man shows and things like that. These are mainly for those, I think, but please correct me if I'm wrong. So here's my theory. Miles' mission in Beyond the Spider-Verse is to get home to save his dad from being killed by the Spot. His dad has been made captain, and he had a vision that his father may be in danger. Now, of course, a canon event is something that needs to happen. If Miles changes those events, if he saves his father, like Miguel says, it will destabilize that entire universe and threaten other universes. And Miles being around as Spider-Man itself is an anomaly already. So it's how he fixes things. Now, the Spot was created because of Miles. The Spot is like a result of Miles's very being as Spider-Man. So because Spider-Man, because the spider bit Miles and that spider came from another universe, it's as though the Spot created Miles and Miles created the Spot. And so it created that horrible anomaly of the two of them not really being supposed to be themselves. And, Jonathan Ohm was not meant to be the Spot. Miles was not meant to be Spider-Man in this universe, but then he turned out to be. So it's this big multiverse anomaly, but for some reason, 1610 still remains. 1610 remains standing. Now, this could just be that for some reason, the canon events of Peter Parker Spider-Man traveled turned on to Miles. So it's like the universe is trying to recorrect itself around Miles instead. But of course, the Spot still exists, and him being around is going to destroy several universes. So this is where the theory comes in. So my theory is, how is Miles going to stop the Spot? And how is he not only going to stop the Spot, but save his father? Because if you look at it in hindsight and in Miguel's eyes, Miles needs to let his father die. Or Miles' father is destined to die. And of course, I feel like these canon events in the Spider-Verse movies are only stopped by another hero from another universe. If it's within its own timeline, if it's within its own universe, then no, of course it cannot be changed. You know, it was because Miles was there from another universe that altered things, because he was not meant to be in other universes. Each universe is meant to have its own spider hero, and that is it. And because the Spot is now powered up, he can then destroy probably the universe. But Miles needs to get there in time. But he is the only one that can theoretically be in that world. If Gwen goes to try and help Miles and save their dad, then there you go. That's a canon event and the universe dies. Same with any of the spider people that Gwen recruited at the end of Across the Spider-Verse. It would just break down the universe. Them being there in 1610 to try and save Miles' father is not going to work, because it will just destroy the universe. Now, of course, they could just migrate, but they can't migrate every single one of the, people, every single person in that entire universe. That doesn't work. So the universe just has to die. Or, let's look at this way. If Miles is the new Spider-Man, and it's because of Miles that the universe overcorrected itself in a sense, and, because Miles being there is an anomaly. He is not meant to be Spider-Man, but for some reason, he is. And that universe hasn't broke down yet, even though that the Spider-Man of that world is not dead, and the Miles Morales in Earth 42 is also still going, and that universe hasn't broke down either. I feel like in Beyond the Spider-Verse, both Miles and Miles G. Morales, the Prowler version, they will work together to fix their own worlds, to fix that issue. Miles will help the Prowler become a hero, meaning that that universe is overcorrected around that. That version of Miles, even though he's the Prowler, he's still a hero as though he would be Spider-Man. And so that universe would be corrected. I feel like that's why that universe hasn't broke down yet. In terms of 1610, Miles' home universe, like I said, it's overcorrected around him. So, what if the universe can further correct itself? What if there are certain ways for these things to happen? So this is the main theory. What if Miles, or even his mother, die instead of Jefferson Davis? Jefferson Davis, of course, is dead in a lot of versions of Miles Morales' story, and Rio had a bit of a heavier-hearted role in Across the Spider-Verse. I feel like it would mean so much more to the story if Rio died instead. I think that would hit Miles harder. And I think going forward, Miles will realize that not everything is able to be just fixed. But even though he try his best, it doesn't work all the time. But that goes into the thought of course, Miles is trying to do his own thing. As you saw in Across the Spider-Verse, he goes, I don't have to abide by your rules. I'm going to do my own thing. And, of course, that works out. That could work. But I do not see Miles and his father and his mother getting out of this scot-free. I do not see them fighting against the Spot and surviving, or at least, one of them not dying. And this is the other thought. Why does a captain need to die in Spider-Man's story? Well, look at Captain Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man. That sort of made Peter realize that there are sort of consequences to his actions and that it is real what he's fighting. The lizard killed him, and of course that meant that he couldn't be near Gwen. And that's another thought. Captain Stacy dying tried to prevent Peter from seeing Gwen. And it's because Peter ignored that Gwen died. What if, in a similar situation here, what if we are seeing a situation of Miles and Gwen should not be together? So the second part of this theory is that what if the captain dying is a warning sign for Spider-Man to stay away from his love interest because they could get hurt? And what if, in a sense, Gwen realizes this? So, all in summary, I just want to put it out there. In summary, obviously, this has just been me ranting and rambling on about it, and I just want to put it out there in a more simplistic way for you. I believe that Miles Morales will not be able to save his father properly. He will not get out of this movie with Miles and his mom and his dad and Gwen. I believe that Miles, his father, Jefferson Davis, Rio Morales, and Gwen Stacy are at risk. I do not believe the dad will die. I do not believe Jefferson Davis will die. Or Jefferson Morales now, actually. I do apologize. But I do believe that the other three, Miles, Rio, and Gwen, are at risk of dying in his place. Because although there's these things called canon events which need to happen, they happen for a reason, and it all depends on what that reason is. So if Jefferson Morales needs to die for a specific reason, someone else has to take his place, and I do not feel like Miles will be able to fight off sort of fate and what is already laid out for him. I think he can try, but I do not believe he could. Although Gwen taking the place of Jefferson Davis would be a good fitting moment, because as she stated in Across the Spider-Verse, there isn't really a universe where Spider-Man ends up with Gwen. Although I'd love a happy ending for this film, I do think that there needs to be sort of consequences, and there needs to be a sort of stake that Miles has to fight for, something to make him desperate, and he will be teaming up, I hope, with his Earth 42 variant, so it all depends on how they work this story. But this is my theory of, basically, that Jefferson Davis, or Jefferson Morales, will not die, but it will take Miles, Gwen, or even Rio to lose their lives. Another person that could sacrifice themselves for Miles could be Peter B. Parker, or even Miguel O'Hara. We just don't know. It would be quite cool if Miguel O'Hara realized that, he may have ruined his universe and lost his daughter, but there's still a chance for Miles. It all just depends on how they work the story. And of course, I know a lot of people, when you really look into it, it's hard to make sense of things on the multiverse logic within the Spider-Verse movies, but I feel that Phil Lord and Chris Miller will make a fantastic final movie in this trilogy, and it will make sense, and it will mean so much to people, and it will be a beautiful, beautiful send-off for Miles, whether someone dies or not. But hey, I could be wrong, and everyone could survive at the end, and no consequences at all. And it's just a case of Miles having to fight as hard as he can to make sure that he actually wins the day. But I don't know. Tell me what you think. This is just my personal theory. Let me know what you think. Tell me your Spider-Verse theories. I'd love to hear what you've got to say about this movie, because I cannot wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse. And it's sad that it hasn't come out yet. And it's sad that we may not get anything for a long time, but let's talk about it while we're in this stage, because sooner or later it'll come out and we won't be able to talk about and theorize as much as this. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of my absolutely rambly theory. Tell me I'm wrong, please, and let's discuss it politely, please. I do have feelings. I can cry. But thank you all for listening. I hope you did enjoy my little theory here, and I will see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe as well. Goodbye and have a good day.